I've increased this property's value by £65,000, and if I sold it, I could make in the region of £33,000 profit. How is that even possible? How much did I spend on this refurb? In this video, I share everything from start to finish. We are in sunny Sussex, and this is a property that I have just completed on. So I wanted to do a quick walk around to show you the potential that it has. Starting in this room here, this is a smallish and dated kitchen, basically. So what is here isn't going to be staying, it's absolutely going. We're starting from scratch. Now, you know from recent videos that I'd love to refurb a kitchen if I can. If I really wanted to, I could try here, but I don't want to because we're actually having a change of situation. I'm going to be converting this from a large studio flat into a one-bedroom flat, which is exactly where I've seen the value with this property. Now, a few other things to mention whilst I'm in here is, first of all, this window is single glazed and it's wooden, which in any normal property is a very easy replacement. But as this is a leasehold flat, I am gonna have to get permission to put in a double glazed window, which I highly doubt they will reject, as it's only bringing up the level of the building, and because the other windows in the flat already are double glazed. So I'm not quite sure they didn't replace that in the first instance. But this is the kitchen, which is gonna eventually become bedroom, but I'll explain that in a second. On the other side here, if I walk in, we've got the bathroom, which is, for want of a better word, just mundane, boring right now. Needs to have a shower put in, and I think I'm gonna have to replace these tiles as they are ever so boring, as I mentioned, but it does the job. It ticks the box. It has a really good extractor fan in there. All the pipe works fine. So it's literally going to be a case of actually transforming the design of it rather than doing a complete overhaul of it. Now, moving into the main room, I say the main room, you can't actually feel part of the room because we've got this terrible wall here, okay? This wall someone's put in, and I think it was the worst decision they could have made with the layout that they have, okay? Because this is a relatively good sized studio flat, which probably isn't coming across on camera, but we're talking about just over 400 square foot in size. Now, when we're talking about new build properties, new build flats, they quite often do one beds that are 350 square foot, 375 square foot, 400 square foot, you know, and this is above 400 square feet. So it's absolutely a big enough studio for this to be a one bedroom property. And that's where I'm gonna be able to extract the value here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out this wall, which is literally just this like really flimsy stud wall that's been put in. And I'm gonna make this into an open plan living area with dual aspect, because you've got the window here and the window there, which lets a lot of light in. But not only that, but I'm gonna move the wall from the old kitchen in about a metre and a half possibly. So move that into about here. I'm gonna move the well-placed telephone or the intercom system for letting people in the front door. I'm gonna move that with the wall to about here. And then I'm gonna put a row of kitchen units along here. Now I'm gonna do a really compact, nice designed kitchen with kind of the vinyl flooring around the kitchen area, and then the rest as carpet. So it'll have a really nice divide between the two. That distance there is about 2.6 meters. So it's a fair amount to play with in order to get in, you know, sink, units, oven, fridge, all your high units for everything else as well. So that's the plan. If I throw up some floor plans over this, then you'll probably get a good visual on what this is gonna look like. But this is gonna be kitchen, open plan living area. So you're gonna have a dining area, you're gonna have somewhere to put your sofa, and you're gonna have a proper double bedroom on the other side, transforming this from a impractical studio from a one bedroom. So on that note, why would I buy what is my smallest ever property purchase? Because I have bought other flats in the past, which are always typically smaller than your two bedroom houses, but they've always been about 500 square feet and above. So why would I go and buy a flat at about 400 square feet? And that is because I saw a deal and I saw an opportunity. Okay, I feel like someone had really missed the boat on what you need to do with this property. They've really missed the idea of how you can create this into a functional property. That's one thing. But I've also seen an opportunity which is a good deal on price. And for me, I'm always numbers led. I'm deal led. Okay, I'm not going out there thinking, oh, I really want to find a lovely two bedroom house, or I really want to find a lovely one bedroom flat. I'm thinking, How can I make that a good deal? How can I make that a good deal? And that is exactly what happened here. I saw in this local area of Sussex, which is quite local to me, I saw a flat which was on the market for £140,000. And I thought, okay, it's currently a large studio, £140,000 isn't bad value because studios in this area tend to go for about 150. I'm thinking, right, it's on the market for 140. Possibly a little bit expensive. I'm gonna keep an eye on it at this point. I'd need to make an offer quite a bit lower, so I'm gonna keep an eye on that. I then saw it drop to offers in excess of 130. I'm like, right, I'm going to see that flat because now it's starting to fall into the territory in which I know this is good value. And I know lots of the blocks around here. So I've gone and seen it, offers in excess of 130, obviously ignoring the fact it says offers in excess of, because that means nothing. I don't have to offer above just because it says it. And what I've done is I've gone, right, the deal works for me, but I want to get it for 110. So I've offered 110. In fact, I offered a bit lower than that, but I've offered 110 at one point, okay? They've said, no, the lowest we will do this deal is £116,000. Run my numbers. I've worked out what I think it's going to cost me, about £15,000 to do the renovation here. And I know that other flats within this block have sold for £175,000, okay? So 116, 15,000 refurb, end value of 175. And during the purchase process, obviously things took a little bit longer. It took about 10 weeks to purchase this. I really wanted to close it off in about 6 weeks. There is something that come up along the way with the lease and it caused that time delay, caused me to have a bit of frustration. I found some other purchases. So I hit these guys with a lower offer of 110 and which we eventually renegotiated to. So 110 purchase, £175,000 end value. And at the end of this deal, all said and done, should be under £10,000 left in the deal. And it should get a good rent on the back end in the region of 900 to 950. I was thinking 900, but actually one has just let in this building for 950. So good rents in the area, which helps be able to purchase properties at this price. So that is it really. The last thing I'm going to show you is just this hallway, which of course will be extended out as the bedroom is brought out. This hallway is going to be brought out and this will inevitably get longer. We've got two cupboards. We've got one here for storage, which I'm just going to leave. And then we've got the other cupboard just on the left-hand side of me here, which is for the immersion tank. Again, not the most ideal. When you buy flats like this, they're quite often on electric heating. Same with this one. We've got old night storage heaters and you've got an immersion tank. So everything is run off of electricity, no gas in the building. But these actually work absolutely fine. My other rental properties, they work, they tick along all right. So all I've got to do is upgrade the electrics, put in a new consumer unit, and what I want to do is upgrade the night storage heater. Currently, this property is an EPCC with one radiator. What I'm going to do is take that off. I'm going to replace it with a new electric smart heater and probably install another one in here or in the bedroom, just to bring up the temperatures in the winter, because I can imagine it'd be a bit cold and miserable otherwise. This was their bedroom, which, as you can see now, I'm a short person. I hate to say it. I'm not 6'2" like you might think I am on camera, and I can almost just about touch the wall and well, either side of me. Okay, these guys had a bed in here, sorry, a double bed, which literally filled up the whole room. They'd have had to walk in and climb straight into bed, and they'd had to walk over the bed in order to get to the wardrobes, which they've obviously had put in at some point. Really useful space, but the bedroom is just impractical. So I'm probably gonna leave these in here just purely from a storage element, because storage in flats is always a bit of a problem. We're gonna take out this wall, make that the open plan living, as I said, and make it a proper functional one bed.
The builders got cracking straight away, removing the old walls, the kitchen and putting up the stud-work for the new layout. Talking of layout, with this flat I had 3 alternative layout options. Option number 1, the flat started out looking like this: a small kitchen, large living area and an impractical bedroom area. Keeping the flat in this layout was one option, but it would have been hard to achieve the end value and rental value that I had planned to. My first real option, option number 2, which I will actually call proposed floor plan number 1, was the most cost-effective way of adding value. This option would have included moving the bedroom wall over to create a larger bedroom space, and also removing one of the kitchen walls to create an open plan living room area. On paper, This looks the best option and was far more cost effective. However, when measuring this option out, the living area was incredibly narrow and would have been too oppressive. Therefore, I had one option remaining, which is called proposed floor plan number 2. The idea is to relocate the kitchen entirely, alter the room sizes and use the old kitchen as a bedroom. The overall goal was to create a fully functioning living room and a large enough separate bedroom without breaking the bank on the refurb cost. And this is the option that I chose.
Welcome back to another update, and in this update we've just had the plastering done on the ceilings. So just prior to that, obviously those lights were moved in that concrete ceiling, which was hard for the electrician to do. We've had the plastering done. So what's left to be done in here is plastering on this wall, and obviously on the inside of the bedroom, which I'll show you in a minute. That's being done by separate trades to the ceiling. That's being done by the trades that actually done the stud walling and the guys that are fitting the kitchen. So that's left. Obviously, second fix of electrics is left to be done. Got to finish off the bedroom. We've still got lots to do. Painting, new flooring, etc. We're about 50% of the way through. And the way that I refer to this as is like peak mess, because you've had the rip out and you've kind of got all sorts going on. You've had a bit of plastering done, you've had a few walls chucked up, but now there's no kitchen and now certain things are unconnected. So you're kind of in this sort of stage of mess where technically the property is actually worth less than when you bought it. Even if you bought it cheap, you've now potentially pulled out a kitchen, or some other places you might have pulled out a bathroom, etc. But it's kind of my favorite point as well, because I'm starting to see my vision come to life. You know, I envisaged what this room was going to look like with pulling out the wall, putting the kitchen in here. So I'm starting to see that come to life, which is really exciting. But let's take a walk through into the bedroom that we have created. And we actually had these walls skimmed as well, because this was where all the old kitchen units were. Obviously the sockets are up here. Once they took the tiles off the wall, it left a bit of a mess, as you'll have seen. So we've relocated the sockets, and the reality is someone's probably going to use this wall to put their wardrobe either here or along this wall. But whilst coming back to take a look at this plastering, I have noticed a problem and a hurdle that we're going to have to overcome. And that is, take a look at this sort of staining that's coming through the wall. Now you might ask, why is there a stain coming through the wall? What's going on the other side? Is it damp? Definitely not damp, because it's completely dry, and it's a stain that was there because previously the people would have been doing their washing up here. So water's going down the back, grease is going down the back from your frying pans that you're washing, etc. So we believe it's where just, grease has gone down and it's kind of come through the plaster. How do we overcome that? It's not too difficult, hopefully. That should be a case of, we'll mist coat the whole flat, see if it still comes through, and then if it does, we're gonna have to stain block it. And once you stain block, then you can go over a couple of times with paint emulsion. So that should be fine. Other than that, in this room, it's really just a case of finishing the boarding. So now the electrician has near enough finished all the first fix, board out, then the guys can come in and plaster in here, as I mentioned. We've got 2 radiators sitting here ready to go, one for the bedroom and then one for the sitting room over there. So they are sitting there and ready to be installed when the electrician comes back. Last but not least, we head in here into the bathroom. Okay, and this is probably the biggest question mark, this room, because you might look at this and think, it's a bit dated. And you wouldn't be wrong to think that. You see, I had a bit of a conundrum, we could say, with this room. I wasn't sure what to do with it, because when I was buying the property, I was fairly convinced I was going to flip this on. I was going to make a profit, maybe 30-ish thousand pounds. And at which point I was thinking about stripping it out, obviously putting more modern tiling, a new suite in, and maybe even trying to fit in a shower as well, if possible. But as I got closer to purchase, as I actually saw just how potentially valuable, or how much the end value is of this property, although I was still tempted to sell it, I'm thinking more, I hate selling properties. I love to refinance them, I love to keep them, rent them out, there's good rent in this area. And then I was thinking, it feels a bit criminal to rip out a bathroom which isn't too bad. With a good lick of paint, flooring, this room will actually be fine. But there is another hurdle to overcome. And that is that currently, this bathroom does not have a shower. It's just got, obviously, a hose running from the tap. And you might think, not a problem, you could just buy a new tap with a proper hose and obviously a shower head, but we're currently level with the water tank, which is on the other side of that wall, meaning that we actually don't have enough pressure for the water to come through and obviously go through the tap, the pipe work, and come up here. The pressure just isn't strong enough. So then you have the problem to solve. Do you take off the tiles, have an electric shower fitted, because you're going to have to create a channel, obviously sort out the electrics and the pipe work. Do you do that, but meaning you've got to take off the tiles, try and replace them? Do you completely take off the tiles, start again? If you're doing this works, you probably might as well start again and go for a more modern look. Or do you try and come up with another solution? Another solution could be that someone recommended to me recently, and I'm still trying to decide on this one because I've never used this before, but could be a water pump. Okay, so if you have an electric pump fitted to the water supply, so probably in the cupboard, the plumber will be able to tap into the water supply, put a pump on, then it might boost the water pressure throughout into the kitchen and then obviously into here, so that you should be able to fit a shower head and have a good enough pressure coming through. That is something to think about. That's something I'm weighing up right now. As always with property, not always massive hurdles, but just little hurdles that you've got to overcome and try and problem solve, and just do it in a financially sensible way, but also in a way that you actually imagine living here, not just doing the best for your pocket, but doing the best for the person that lives here as well. So a few more comments just to add here, and that is that I said we're kind of like halfway through the project at this point, and that for me is a really exciting time because I love this stage of the project. But what I'm also starting to think about, even though I love being this point, I'm not going to sleep on the future Justin. So what I mean by that is I now start to think about, what am I doing in the future? What is the next project? I've got money tied up in this project, which realistically the refurb will be finished within the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, in that time frame of probably 3 or 4 weeks realistically. And then I'm going to go immediately into refinance, which hopefully will only take another 4, maybe 6 weeks maximum. And at that point, I'm then going to have money back in the bank. So I'm already starting to think about what's that next purchase, because I don't want the money sitting there for too long. I want the money out and working for me in the next project. So at this point of the project, I'm thinking, what's the next purchase? So I'm already got my eyes on, well, lots of properties that I've been viewing around here, but there's 2 other flats locally that I've been offering on. I've been nudging them up a little bit, but the owner's a little bit delusional on price, and they've set it really high, even though it needs a refurb, it needs a reconfiguration. So I guess to summarize, what I'm trying to say is this is the perfect time of the project, really, to then be thinking about the next one, which I think a lot of people don't think about. And then before you know it, you've got the money back in the account, and then you're like, money's not working for me. So at this point, I'm always like, right, next project, what are we buying next? But we've had some new works being done this week, which is kind of why I'm here. I'm just checking in to have a look. Just had a brand new window going in, so you might be able to hear the electrician at the moment just drilling away. But I had a brand new window go in because this was actually an old wooden one before. I had to get a brand new UPVC one. It costs quite a bit more because actually you have to have it brown on the outside, white on the inside, as that's what is kind of the regulations or what is set by the managing agent and the building. Had a new heater installed in here because although this flat is actually an EPC C rating, it had like 1 night storage heater in the front room, and I was just thinking that if I make this into a bedroom, this could get colder in the winter as it's at the back of the flat basically. So small electric heater here, which although looks minuscule, like I didn't think it was going to turn out that small, actually puts out a lot of heat. Based off of obviously what's quoted online, the wattage, etc. But yeah, in this room actually we've had new lights going in, and that's why the electricians here did the second fix. Plastering started on the inside. Obviously they've just done that wall and they've got this wall to do. Another thing that I'm just starting to tackle actually in this room is the fact that we've had a bit of a leak going on. You can see up here that there's a leak, and we've been drawing in a pencil over a few different days now to see how quickly it's growing, if it improves or gets worse, etc. So it's not getting any better, put it that way. And this is currently because we're a first floor flat, so we've got someone beneath us, we've also got someone above us. So I've been in contact with the neighbour above. I've had him down to come and have a look at that. The positive is that he's a plumber. The negative is that he doesn't want to do the work. So I've just been having a chat with him, and obviously maintaining the fact that actually it's his legal obligation to do the work, and at his expense because it's his flat causing the leak. So that's been a nice hurdle to overcome, and we're certainly still not at the end of that. So I'll be monitoring that and including kind of the outcome of that in the main video when I eventually put out the main video for this flat. But I'll walk through now and I'll show you a quick clip of the kitchen. Welcome back. We are here for another update at the flat, and as you can see, there is quite a lot of changes. Well, the kitchen is a big change to be exact. But this is the finished kind of kitchen living room, which I'm really impressed by. I like it. I think it's a little bit small, but it's well proportioned for this size of one bedroom flat, which is about 400 square feet. So it's a really nice living area for someone that's obviously going to move in here when they rent it. The kitchen is from DIY Kitchens. The worktops are from Worktops Express, and the appliances are from Appliances Direct. And I kind of mix and match to try and get the best appliances, the best look, and the best price, all tied into one. And I must say, you know, DIY kitchens are very cheap and cost effective when it comes to kitchens. They're good for landlord kitchens. But I will caveat that. I have not been very impressed by this kitchen. And after doing tons of refurbs in the Northwest, to be specific, where the builders often quite like fitting them and there's quite good designs, you know, I've normally been really, really pleased with what DIY kitchens have to offer, apart from their bad delivery service. But with this kitchen, been really unimpressed. Okay, and maybe it's because it's a light kitchen, but they just turned up dirty all around the corners, turns up with paint still on the edges, and all the cupboard doors, they come fitted actually, already on, but they were all misaligned. And we're still having to go around, and the joiner that's been working for me has been trying to do a good job of aligning all the doors, but it's been hard work and frustrating for him. I'm a little bit torn as to what I might do in the future, okay? It's been a couple of kitchens now where they've just let the team down a bit. I think their darker kitchen units are actually a lot better than their light ones in terms of the perception and the look of the finish. So I may well switch over to Howdens permanently going forward, because not only am I getting a bit frustrated with the kind of look and the quality, but I'm also hearing from the builders that I'm working with, they're getting a bit frustrated by them as well. They much prefer working with Howdens kitchens. And I want to keep the builder sweet. I want to have a good finished product as well. So let's talk about appliances for a second. The appliances, as I said, are from Appliances Direct, and these come with, I think it's a 12-month warranty. I go for an electric hob, not a gas hob. I know a lot of people prefer gas hobs, but that is an additional thing that I would have to get serviced every year or get checked under my gas safety certificate in a house. So in a house, I don't do them. And in flats, I definitely don't do them because there's actually no gas to this building. This is a fully electric flat. All the radiators are electric, and of course, so is all the cooking as well. So obviously oven, electric hob, and a nice fully functioning extractor, which is all good and ready to go. In here, I've actually got a built-in washer dryer, which I never normally do. In fact, if any of you have watched me for a little while, you'll know that I never normally give white goods or appliances. I like to provide the space, because then I feel the tenants have to move in. I feel like they have to make a place their own. And also it means that if something goes wrong, I don't have to pay for it. I don't have that maintenance cost of a fridge going or a washing machine going. However, in this flat, this is a 1-bedroom flat, and I've noticed this everywhere, but in particular within the 1-bedroom flats, it is a concern to me that it's a smaller space and there aren't really very good drying facilities. So in order for people to be able to dry their clothes efficiently, currently they'd have to wash them and then put them onto a drying horse or a drying rack. And the problem with that is it creates condensation and it could create more potential for mold. So my thought process here, and with some of my other flats, is to put a washer dryer in here, because then you're giving the people the facility to be able to do the full washing, the full drying, and hopefully avoid as much potential of mold. I have left space for a fridge freezer, small one just under here. Looking back now, I regret that. I think I was being tight on the day that I ordered. I was moving with speed, moving quickly, making decisions. Looking at the kitchen now, it would have been lovely to have had a built-in fridge freezer there with the door on. I must have been tight that day and I regret it, but no harm done. Still a very good kitchen. Moving over to the sink, because this is quite unusual. Normally, you would not have a sink with big, high units above it. You'd normally have higher, small units, or you'd have nothing above the sink. But this was a recommendation from the supplier, and really looking at the designs we had, it makes sense if we want to be able to get in more storage around this small unit. Because right now, we've got kind of a drawer here, small cupboard there, small cupboard under the sink, which also has the isolators in it for the oven and the hob, etc. And we will have the pipework going in the corner. And then obviously we've got units all the way along the top here, which actually gives someone enough storage to be able to live in this flat, which is still really important as well. A couple of final things to mention is the color. I don't normally go for really white kitchens like this. In fact, I normally like the darker looking ones, but I felt this is a small room. I felt like a dark kitchen would probably be quite suppressing on the room, whereas I felt like a light one is happy and it makes the room still feel quite big. Tiles, I'm actually quite happy with. They were definitely smaller than I thought they were when I was ordering them, but decided to go for running bond, and I think it looks great. And we have fitted new lights in here as well, which I will flick on here, and yeah, how lovely and bright. Anything else to note in this room? We've got a brand new radiator. There was a older, sort of thicker storage heater, so we're gonna have to make good of the areas around it. There's a hole here as well. There was a hole there. But that's all wired, ready to go. We just need to tidy up around it, which the decorator, AKA my dad, is currently doing. But let's head on through to the other room. You can now see that the hallway's been painted. These are the brand new walls, and you've got all the arcs and the skirts that have been going on as well. In here, just really everything's been done. It's just a brand new room. So plastering all the way round, new radiator in the corner here underneath this. Very similar to in the sitting room, brand new window as well, as that needed replacing. But overall, this is going to be a really good sized bedroom. So I'm very pleased with the outcome of this conversion from a kitchen to a bedroom, obviously. And I think it's a really good result. They're the main changes. I want to talk to you now about the problems that we've been looking to try and solve on this flat. So one of the problems you'll remember me talking about was the leak in the bathroom, which was above what is currently there, which is actually stain block. Now the leak we found was coming obviously from the neighbour above, and after some backwards and forwards, as I previously mentioned, we have now agreed that it is coming from his flat, of course. And given that he is a plumber, he was able to take the boxing in off from around his toilet, and he found actually, this is pretty gross, that it was the soil pipe from the back of his toilet that was dripping and leaking, and was slowly making its way down here. So I'm glad I didn't, touch the ceiling too much when figuring out, where the leak's coming from. But fortunately he fixed it, and very quickly we've noticed that it's dried up, and that was the problem, which is really, really positive news. So as I said, my dad is doing the decorating on this flat, and he's put stain block on it, and then obviously we'll get a couple of layers of paint on it. That's one problem. Problem number two is the fact that we've got this lovely bath, which is dated, and if I was, as I previously mentioned, if I was selling this, I would have replaced it. But as it's a rental, this will be absolutely fine. The other problem is the fact that we don't have any shower. In an ideal world, we'd have a shower up here, so then the person can take a shower. So out of the options that I mentioned, we have gone with the electric shower, which I didn't think we were going to do. I thought we were going to do the pump. The plumber came around, said it's not really a possibility. Said the other alternative is replacing the tank. Didn't really want to do that one, as that one sounded expensive, or it was expensive. So we are putting an electric shower on here. Obviously, the concern was that that was going to disrupt the tiling. We're going to have to take the tiling off to wire and plumb it in. But we think we can kind of retrofit one on top. And that is by taking this coving off. The electrician's going to run the wire down along there and down. And then we're going to run the pipe work up from the corner, along the top, and then down. And we've managed to find, I don't know how many of these are around in the plumbing space, but I certainly made sure to find an electric shower, which had 8 different entry points for water and electrics. Now, that might be a common thing, but I certainly had to look around to find one that had it listed as one of the features. So this means that we can feed the water in and the electricity in from the top, and that goes really well with obviously running everything along the top of the bathroom. So hopefully, problem solved. And that's one of those things I don't think is a necessity, as in I think someone probably would have rented here without it, but I do think it adds to the desirability. You know, if someone walks into this flat and they like the kitchen, they like the living room, they like the bedroom, and then they go, I can't shower in the morning before work, I have to take a bath every day. I do think that's a bit of a drawback. So I think it'll be worth fitting it in the long run. Price of doing so is coming in at around £500 to £600 when you factor in the cost of the electric shower, which is about 180, the cost of the electrician, which is just over 200, and then the rest is my joiner's going to actually do a lot of the pipe work because he's quite handy, let's put it that way. So we'll see what it comes to and I'll share it in the video. So I'm back, or hopefully back, for the last time at this project as we're coming to a close, getting ready to rent it out. And the main change since I last was here or last updated you was probably a lot of paint work which has been going on. We've literally done a whitewash throughout, nothing fancy, nothing too crazy, and certainly nothing expensive. We've just done a full whitewash throughout the property. And the other big change, which always brings a project to a close and kind of brings it all together, is the flooring. So as always, I've gone for kind of a darker grey carpet throughout here and throughout the hallway, the bedroom, because I feel like it's a very durable carpet for someone that's renting the property. Also looks nice, can't go too far wrong with a dark grey carpet. And then you'll see the kind of separation here between me and the kitchen, or the carpet in the kitchen, should I say. So we've just got a bar here, and then we've gone for a kind of, it's called a cushion floor, but actually it's just really, it's a vinyl wood effect. I wanted to get one that was like a herringbone style, but I couldn't source it easily, and B, actually, I think I'm quite happy with what we've got there. The way in which the floorboards are running and the way in which it looks, it just separates that little area off, means that someone can then have a sort of dining room table here or something. They could even do kind of like a bigger TV unit area here if they wanted to, but I think a dining table with obviously sofa and everything in the area behind me, or behind you, should I say. In terms of cupboards, so these have again been obviously painted now. Obviously, you know I like these door handles, although they're nothing too fancy, but it just updates it a little bit and put those magnetic strips in there as well. So it's no longer kind of this old-fashioned catch, which looks a bit dated. Now it's a nice, easy open close. Haven't yet painted in those, but that is still on the list to be done. You can see the old colour, and same for this one here. I think there's some tools left in this one. Yeah, just to say the least, there is tools left. Doors, I think I mentioned these last time, but just quickly I'll cover them again. We kept the old fire doors as they are fire doors, and I didn't want to spend ludicrous money on replacing and getting a new, more modern fire door. We just kept them, sanded them down, and then repainted them and put the new handles on that I like as well. Just to bring it up to date. Walk with me just down here. Bedroom's near enough fully done. We've just got a couple of dodgy looking sockets where we'll probably just replace them because it's so cheap to replace. They're like £1.70. Rather than trying to just clean them up, just have them replaced. Everything else ready to go in here. Actually, I don't think it needs any more work. Really pleased with that room. And last room, where the work does still need to be done, is this bathroom. I mentioned to you about the coving. That was taken off. We tapped into the pipe work, or I didn't, but the builder did. Ran a feed all the way up there, behind the coving, and obviously put new coving on. Right now, the kind of filler work that has been done is terrible. So that needs to be tidied up. The pipe work at the other end needs to be tidied up. And then it all needs to be just finished. Along here, we're gonna have all of these pipes boxed in as well. The previous landlord didn't, but I actually just think if you box it all in, it makes it less likely that someone's gonna trip and fall and break something, but also means we don't have to paint the pipework that's there. Got to get a new loo roll holder, got to get a new towel holder, got to put up the shower screen, I'm gonna put up a mirror here just to stop someone else drilling in or through these tiles. I think if there is a mirror on here when they move in, it means less aggravation, less work for them. And that's it really, then this work is done. But I want to conclude this update and talking to you a little bit about the rent, because I had the letting agent in yesterday and better than I expected. I've said that a few times and I'm very pleased to say it again really, because what I was hoping for on this project was about 950, okay? But I felt that was quite bullish. Okay, this was a studio apartment. It has now been made into a one bed, which is fully functional, really pleased with it, but I thought it's a touch on the small side. Will it meet the 950 of the other flat that I rented? Possibly not. So I'd probably be happy and comfortable with numbers wise, 900, 925, or I really hoped for 950. But the agent came round, he said, location is better than the other one because it's closer to the local village centre, local to all the amenities. It's got a really nice south-facing aspect here, so it's a bright room. And last but not least, it has a new kitchen, new appliances, and it's got a very fresh and new feel to it. And he said, given the demand and lack of property that they have right now that's available for people to rent, he said he really doesn't see there being a problem in asking for 995, so basically £1,000 for what I believe is quite a small property, which I was both surprised about, but also really pleased with. I came back today, having seen the product, I actually do think, yeah, I agree. I think I wanted 950. I think the market has moved on since then. I think it's actually a great flat. Someone will really enjoy living here. And therefore, you know, be confident in your product. And actually, I think, yeah, this is £1,000 flat or 995 flat. But getting that extra bit of rent is not only very helpful to me because it means more money, more rent, more potential profit, but it's also better for the person that lives here because when something does come up in terms of a bit of maintenance or something they want to change about the property, I'm going to be really hot on it because they're paying top market rent and because I want to make sure they're having a good experience living here. It also helps when there's a change of tenant, you know, the void, the additional fees that I'd incur, it really helps me absorb them as well. So overall, very happy there.
So let's take a look at the refurb costs. First of all, we had £500, which is a payment to the managing agent for bridging the conversation between myself and the freeholder for the license to alter agreement. And then it was the whopping £2,500 cost for the license to alter agreement itself. Now, this is a big cost considering the fact that I am not adding square meterage to the flat, I'm simply just changing the layout. But needs must has to be done, and I needed to get that permission. Next was the building control application fee, which was £504 because, again, just wanted to make sure that I did this properly, but also met the health and safety requirements for people living in the flat for the years to come. Moving over to the actual refurb costs now, we've got the DIY kitchen units coming in at just over £1,360. We've got appliances at just over £950 and the worktops at £225. If you add all of these up, that's a combined £2,500, which is a big cost for a small kitchen and a basic kitchen. So do bear that in mind when pricing up kitchens in your own refurbs. Moving on quickly, we then have the Victoria plumbing radiators. I bought 2 of these, wasn't required, but I wanted to make sure the flat was going to be warm in those winter months. Then it was the first payment to the builders. And at this point, they'd been on site for about 3 to 4 weeks. They'd done the full rip out. They've started rebuilding the new stud wall layouts and they'd purchased a lot of materials. So it was about time they got paid for some of their work. That was £1,360. Then it was door handles and doorknobs. Then the second payment to the builders. At this point, they're clearing out the flat. They also paid an electrician to come in and do some of the relocation of the electrics where they're moving the kitchen and adding sockets, adding light switches, etc. Whilst the electrician is there, I paid for a new consumer unit and for him to test it, provide me obviously with certifications once that was all done. Then it was plastering, £820. Then it was adding some additional lighting, and I wanted to go for just slightly nicer lighting rather than just your basic pendants, so £172.80. We had that replaced window in the bedroom, or the old kitchen, £840. Then the tiling in the kitchen, I just simply bought the materials for the guys, £87.89, and you will actually see a couple of lines down here. I had to buy some more tiles because I didn't buy enough. Classic Justin. So another £26.47 there. We have payment number 3 to the builders, and at this point I'm paying them for fitting the kitchen, doing that tiling and doing a bit of plastering in the bedroom as well. Then the electrician was back for a few different tasks. So at this point, fitting heaters, moving lights, adding new double sockets, £420. Then it was moving on to the electric shower. So I had the electric shower purchase cost of £197.94 and then the £280 for the electrician to fit that shower connection. At this point, I am then dealing with the electric shower. So the actual material cost of that, £197.94. And then if I go down a couple of lines, I've got the
cost of the electrician fitting that electric shower connection, £280. And I'm also having general works done still by the guys, so payment number 4 to the builders, £1,000. Shortly followed by another payment for all of the boxing in and the labour of odd jobs that they're doing, £1,068.42. Getting near the end here, we've got the flooring, the carpet and the vinyl going down, £1,270, which I felt was very reasonable. I work with these guys a lot and always think the quality of their service is brilliant. Decorating, which was kindly done by my dad, £1,750. And then the curtains and poles just fitted at the end there, £73, bringing the total cost in at £19,294.84.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.
Right then, let's take a look at the overall numbers. The purchase price was £110,000. Refurb cost, as you know, including the license to alter, was £19,294.84. And the new value, in my opinion, and according to a couple of local estate agents, is £175,000. Meaning that when I factor in all my costs, such as stamp duty, solicitors, bridging finance costs, etc., this property will pay me back all of my investment costs minus £6,650. So I got this property for £6,650, which is pretty cool. And if I decide to sell it instead of refinancing it, then I would be looking at around a £33,000 profit margin before tax, of course. However, you know that I like to hold on to these properties where possible. So I've decided to keep this property, refinance it, and obviously rent it out. But that does come with some good and some bad news, unfortunately. I'll start with the bad news, and that is that I went to refinance the property, but it hasn't currently gone to plan. Okay, the valuer came around last week and I gave him 2 identical comparables in the same building from recent times. One of them's actually the flat next door, but he still decided to slightly downvalue the property. So I'm currently appealing that. The good news is that within just 5 days of listing the property for rent, there was 4 viewings, 2 applications, and one of those I have accepted, and that is for £995 per calendar month. So that full rent that I was pushing for, and I'm really pleased to obviously share that. So all round, I would say a good result, and providing I get the valuation that I want upon appeal, and if not, maybe I might explore other lenders, I'd say really good property. Really pleased with the outcome. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and of course I look forward to seeing you in future videos.